All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you have questions, just type them in the chat, and I'll also try to pause uh, whenever I can, and we'll go from there. This is being recorded right now, so we can upload it later. And any documents I reference, I'm going to make sure that the teams have links to those by Monday. And if anything changes between now and then, I'll update my notes and we should be good to go. Again, for those who might be watching this after the fact, this is a webinar for First Lego League Challenge teams in the Alabama region specifically, addressing our remote qualifier situation and how we're going to handle that for this season for all of our events. Anybody have any questions before we get going? All right, in that case, I'm going to go ahead and share a screen just so that you guys can see what I'm working off of. There we go. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so the big topics I'm going to address in this are going to be robot rounds, judging, and awards and advancements. So we're going to start with robot rounds because that's going to be the kind of most difficult in a lot of ways for a lot of teams. Just like last year, if you were with us last year, every team is going to submit 3 videos, so 3 robot rounds. Each video is about 2.5 minutes long, which is the length of a match, plus some time before and some time after. So you're going to treat each round as if you're at an actual competition, and the referees are going to review these videos. You can record them as soon as you're ready to. We're going to have submission information on these, hopefully by the end of next week, to give everybody a little bit of buffer room. But some things we want everybody to keep in mind. Precision tokens will be kept track of by the referees, just like if you're at a real event that was in person. The biggest concern that I have with remote events for teams is what I call illegal launches. If you refer to your robot game rules, there are restrictions on your robot has to fit totally within the launch area before you launch, things like that. At a competition, the referee would be there to say, hey, no, you can't launch, you need to fix this. If you perform an illegal launch in the remote video, the most likely outcome is going to be that none of your points for that run count. So coaches, it's going to be very important that you make sure before your teams do a run that the robot is totally within the launch area. Most other things we would only penalize by taking away a precision token, but because this is something where your robot cannot leave in this configuration, we're going to be watching for this pretty closely. Your videos should show the whole field for the entire duration. Your videos should start with a quick tour of the field just so that we can see everything's in place, everything's set up right. And that includes showing your equipment in the inspection zone, either the large inspection zone or the small inspection zone. Your videos should end with just a brief tour of the field so the referees can see everything, make sure that everything is being scored correctly. Those are some of the big bullet points. The other thing that's going to be specific to this season is the sorting center mission 10. Earlier in the season, there was a challenge update released. And if you recall, there are 6 possible configurations for the sorting center. In your 3 rounds, each round must use a different configuration. And we can go into some more depth on that, and I'll pull up the rules in here in a second to show you what that looks like. But each of your 3 rounds just needs a different legal configuration of the sorting center. So don't do the same configuration every time. Finally, for robot rounds, we want to make sure that you review the remote event guidelines. That document, like most of our documents, is going to be available on the season materials page, the URL of which is a little complicated. I usually just Google FLL challenge updates and resources, or FLL season resources, and it takes me to this page. This is one of the most useful pages. If you haven't seen it before, coaches, make sure you check out this page. But on that page, they have the robot game video recording. It's listed under Remote Event Hub. Now, we don't use the Remote Event Hub for our events, but the PDF and instructions is here. There's a YouTube video, and you can even download the video and share it off of YouTube. But it's got some best practices for how to record your matches and how to keep that video the best you can. So it's got all this in there, and that's what I'm going to have teams refer to. The other thing to talk about for robot rounds, I'm going to just scroll down briefly to mission 10 setup. You have your sorting center, this mission, and I think the setup is actually listed up here. Yeah, so following these steps, there are 6 total different ways that you can configure this mission. When you're doing your videos, just make sure that each video uses that kind of just the section on robot rounds. And again, this information I'm going to share with teams, and all these resources, and the video will have the information again. But at this moment, are there questions about the robot rounds specifically? We're going to still address judging and the awards and advancement, but we want to make sure that we get through robot rounds first. Are there any questions on robot rounds?
Yes, we have a question.
Hi, real quick on the sorting center. If the team is not doing anything with the sorting center, do they have to reset it every round?
So you say the team's not doing anything with the sorting center. Does that mean they're also not going to be using the cargo containers for one of the other missions?
None of those 3, correct?
I would still say go ahead and reset it correctly, because there's, like I said, there's 6 possible configurations, and at a real event, it would be reset anyway. And it only takes a second to reset it. So I would still reset it correctly for each run.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, if others pop up and they're about robot rounds, we can circle back to them definitely later on. So the next thing that we're interested in talking about is judging. Judging in a lot of ways is easier on our end to handle. It might be a little bit more difficult for teams, but just like last year, you're going to have your 30-minute judging session. And we're going to be a little flexible with start and end times, just because we know that it's a little difficult to manage that. Live 30-minute judging session on the day of your event with a panel of judges via teleconferencing software. I don't know if it'll be Google Meet or if it'll be Zoom or something else just yet. I hope to have that pinned down by Monday. We're going to send the link to the coaches in advance. So coaches will assign a time to you. It'll be on the morning of your event, most likely. It might be after lunch, but we will do our best to get as many in the morning as we can. One thing I'm noting here is we recommend that you have your team co-located so that you only have like one point of entrance into the meeting. We recognize that's not possible for everybody all the time. So whatever you do, if your team is co-located, great. If they're not co-located, that's fine too. But we do recommend practicing a virtual session, maybe not a full-on judging session, but just kind of getting the kids in whatever configuration you plan on them being in, so that the day of the event is not the first time they're presenting it to a remote panel of judges. And by this, you could be in just one room over if possible, but something so that they kind of know what to expect there. Some things to keep in mind. We do have the judging session flow, which if you're back on this very handy resource page, it is listed here as well. The judging session flow chart, which looks like this, and it breaks you down your 2 minutes, 5, 5, 5, 5, 3. And again, the 2 up here and the 3 down here might be a little wishy-washy because of connections and things like that. We're going to make sure we have some buffer time built in. Like any year, anything you want the judges to consider must be shown, demonstrated, explained during the judging session. One of the things we're going to do this year to make, I hope, judging a little bit easier for everybody is every team is allowed, not required, allowed to submit a PowerPoint presentation, a Google Slides presentation, something with just 5 slides. This is a document that you will submit to us in advance that the judges will have and can refer back to. This isn't necessarily, if you're showing a presentation during your judging session, this is not necessarily that. This is more of just a handy reference document. Just 5 slides. It doesn't have to have an intro or anything. It can just be 5 plain slides. We recommend 1 each for robot design, innovation project, and core values, whatever you're referring to, but you're basically going to structure these around what is going to be helpful for the judges to refer back to. Things we would like to see here if you're doing one. Pictures and diagrams are probably going to be the biggest thing. I know that last year, some teams kind of walked away from the process feeling like the judges didn't get a really good feel for seeing what they were doing, especially in the innovation project. So we hope this will help by having us basically saying, here's where you can give pictures to the judges and have them refer to it. But we do want to point out, you should only include things in these slides that you are addressing in your presentation. If you don't address it in the presentation, the judges won't have any context, and it's not going to be as helpful. The only thing other than these in the PowerPoint is please give us some descriptions or images of your robot code so the judges can consider it. But as with any event, remember your judging is going to be about 3/4 of your Champions Award criteria and your advancement criteria. So judging is going to be the lion's share of what you're evaluated on. Otherwise, if you were with us last season, it's going to be very similar, but the judges may not be co-located, and we will be providing the judges with these PowerPoints or Google Slides before they see you, so they'll have them, they can look at them, or they can look at them after. But just another way for you to let the judges get a better picture, literally, of what they're looking at in your presentation, so that we are kind of mitigating the effect of the judge can't see and hold and touch whatever you made or are showing them. So we want to kind of alleviate that as best we can. But yeah, the judging flow chart, and I think and then your rubrics, of course, make sure you review over your rubrics. The judges will be grading you on those, and you will get your rubrics back in maybe a slightly different form than you're used to, but there will be rubrics given back to the teams. At this point, are there any questions on judging?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the virtual screen for the judges, are they putting that in speaker view, or are they putting that in tile view?
It's a good question. Taylor, do you have any insight? I know you set up a lot of this last season.
We didn't really have a standard way to do it last season. I set in on several sessions last year, and it looked like it defaulted to a tile view. That's what I would rather them do, I think, in the event that you've got all the kids, especially in different places. So I would assume that they would be in that tile view.
Although it might make more sense to make it speaker view so that the judges can better see like whatever the person is talking is trying to show them. As a coach, would you have a preference?
Yes, I have a preference for tile because background noise, little things can like pull a speaker view away from what we really want to see. So hoping for a tile view.
Okay.
Taylor, can you jot that down somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. We will get that in the official notes before we send this out on Monday. Other questions on judging and the judging process for a remote qualifier? Okay, we will move on then to the last section, which is awards and advancement. So all of our teams are going to receive a set of 12 Cargo Connect pins, 10 for the students, 2 for the coaches, to commemorate participation in the season. So this won't just be something we give to teams at championship. All of our teams are going to get these just as soon as we can get them to them. We will also have teams advancing from the qualifiers to the state championship, which is still planned to be in person. Everything we're seeing is giving us some fair optimism that we can have an in-person state event by March. So we will see how that progresses. We are expecting about half of the teams at qualifiers to move on to the state event. So that's kind of our expectation. In addition, we may have some teams winning awards at the qualifiers. Teams will get awards if they win them. We have the trophies here at our house right now, so we'll be ready for those. Something to be aware of, especially for those who have not been with First Lego League Challenge before, is that the teams that win awards and the teams that advance are 2 different groups of teams. Winning an award does not mean you advance. Advancing does not mean you win an award. There can be some overlap, but the only award that guarantees advancement is the Champions Award. So if you win that award, you know you're advancing. If you win any other award, you may or may not be advancing. So just be aware of that. And one thing we're going to do this year is that we are going to have the awards ceremony via Zoom, because we do have a volume Zoom license. And the awards ceremony will be on the day after the event. And we will send that link when we send coaches their judging information and all that. But you can share that link with all your team members, all your families and things like that. But it will be the next day in the afternoon, just mostly to make sure that we have enough time on our end to get all of the awards and advancements squared away, while also not tying you up for an entire afternoon waiting on us. When are we going to start? We will delay that by a day to kind of make it smoother for everybody. Other than that, there's not much to say about the awards and advancement, but this is kind of how we're looking at things right now. So robot rounds, judging, and the awards and advancement are the 3 kind of big areas we thought to highlight for this webinar and this discussion. So if you have questions on those 3 areas, we can address those now, or if you have other questions, we can try to address those now as well.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is it going to be similar, or do you know if it's going to be similar to in person, where you have the champion and maybe somebody else, and then you have wild cards?
I don't think we are anticipating wild cards this season. What is probably going to happen is that we are going to just do our champions winner and then the other advancing teams at the event. And then we will probably keep a list of teams to contact, or we may just lottery. If we have teams kind of say, hey, we can't come to an in-person state, we will consider just lotterying among teams that are not currently advancing, instead of just doing an explicit wildcard system. So I guess the short answer is no, we're not doing wildcards. And the but is, if we have spots to fill, we will fill them with other teams that are not in the wildcard system that we don't have. Yes, for the recorded link. So this webinar is going to go into the link into the playlist with all of our other webinars, and the link is going to be sent in the regular email no later than Monday. But if you give me a minute, I can maybe dig that out. Taylor, would you like to talk for a minute?
Sure. I don't know what about. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you've covered it really. Omicron is kind of crazy right now. A lot of districts are starting to go virtual. My district, I had COVID last week, and then my district went virtual today and all through next week. And it's happening, and we did not feel good about pulling a bunch of children together two weekends in a row. So, but hopeful that this wave will pass and that we'll be good for March. But yeah, I'm glad that we did this process last year. It was kind of our proof of concept here. So I think we've got a good plan and we learned a lot, and I'm hoping we can do it in person in March.
So we came up with another question.
Okay.
So you have the 2 weekends of qualifiers. Will the advancing teams be announced on the Sunday of each weekend, or will you wait until, okay.
It'll be each.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah. All of the Sunday after awards ceremony is going to be like a typical awards ceremony where we do everything for that event. If there are no other questions, that is kind of all we had planned. So if you have questions, you can stick around and ask them. We'll be here for a little while longer. If not, you're free to roll off. And thank you for joining us, those who are able. And we hope you have an enjoyable remote qualifier experience. And we hope to see as many of you at an in-person state event as possible.
I have one more question. So the biggest takeaway that we had last year that we missed, the teams, everybody, the parents, everybody missed, was being able to see what other teams came up with for the innovation project. Is there any core value thing, any fun thing we can do online where people just say what they presented? I mean, is that even possible?
I don't see a problem with maybe trying to open the award ceremony on Sunday with an innovation project showcase. Taylor.
I like that. Let's do it. Because that's one of my favorite things too, is getting to go around and see all the cool stuff everyone came up with. So yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so we'll include that. We'll say that if a team wants to, they are welcome to participate in the Innovation Project Showcase at the start of the award ceremony. If they don't want to participate, they are not required to, but they are more than welcome to. And we'll say we'll give each team a 2-minute elevator pitch window. I don't know where you are that you're on an elevator for 2 whole minutes, but there we go. Let's see. Anybody have anything else before we start rolling off here?
Thank you for doing this. Will there be a document Monday? Is that what y'all were talking about doing, releasing a written version?
Yep, I'm going to have, it's mostly going to be these notes I have over here, as well as links to the documents I referenced. Those will all be in that email that'll be, again, no later than Monday. And I'm hoping by Friday of next week, we can have all of the submission and links for your event ready to go.
Okay.
But we will see by Friday.
All right. If you have a angle that you prefer, will you please let us know that as well on the robot game?
That should be in the document.
Okay, great. I have not looked at the virtual document yet.
Yeah, it is. So in this video game recording document, they do have things like this for camera position. Is really this is the most they have for camera position. And if you look at this document, it's going to be tailored probably more for last season's replay because it was made in February 2021, but there's nothing really season specific about it.
And I don't need to know why y'all picked 5 pages, but would you consider more?
The reason that we picked 5 is because I don't necessarily think that the judges will spend time looking at them. It will not spend as much time looking at them if they're much longer than that. I felt like 5 was a good number for you can get more information to the judges while at the same time making sure the judges will actually pay attention to what you're showing them. Because at a certain point in the day, many of us have judged before, right? Your eyes just kind of start to glaze over with, okay, yeah, sure, what's next? But also do consider that you do not have to have like a title slide as one of your first. So you get all 5 slides for whatever you need.
Thank you, guys. I think we're gonna hop off. We appreciate you getting this together so quick.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to help.
No problem.